as we mentioned briefly earlier, the vagus nerve is that information superhighway connecting your gut microbiome and your brain. And most of that communication occurs from your gut to your brain. But the
Mhm.
vagus nerve is, I mean, I love the vagus nerve. There's a whole chapter in my book on the vagus nerve. And
Right.
when we look at optimizing vagus nerve function, and which is really part of our parasympathetic nervous system, our kind of rest, digest, and heal part of our nervous system, is so important for full healing from any chronic disease. That is one of the
Mhm.
final pieces in getting well, and not just getting well, but staying well. Because I mean, as practitioners, we've all had the experience where we've gotten our patients well, yay, they're quote
Mhm.
in remission,
Right.
but then they slide back. And if they don't,
Yeah.
if you can really restore that vagus nerve resilience, and one of the ways to measure vagus nerve resilience and health is called heart rate variability.
Mhm.
Now, heart rate variability is one of the best biomarkers for current and future health, for children and for adults. And when
Mhm.
we work on optimizing our vagus nerve function and improving heart rate variability, the fascinating thing is that that alone can, in children, can improve gut microbiome diversity and function
Mhm.
independent of diet. So for your
Wow.
kids, yes, I mean, independent of diet. Let me say that again, because
Whoa.
for some parents, especially when your kids are older, changing their diet can be one of the most daunting things. And yes, we
Yes.
still need to work on that and remove, the Takis and the artificial, dyes
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
sweeteners. But at the same time, if that's one of the areas where you're having this push pull, then stop that and work on the vagus nerve and do that with your children. And the vagus nerve, just and your listeners are familiar with this, but just as a background briefly, there are two arms of our autonomic nervous system. There's a sympathetic, which puts us into fight or flight, that stress
Mhm.
response, which is a normal adaptive response to a stressor.
Right.
The proverbial saber-toothed tiger, you bet we
Yep.
needed our stress response to kick in so that we can run or fight or freeze, right?
Right.
But in our modern age right now, we have this proverbial saber-toothed tiger almost every moment
Yep.
of the day. We're
Yep.
late to school. I have an exam. My friend
Yep.
texted me something mean, like boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. So our
Yep.
sympathetic nervous system has way too much exercise every single day. Now, if we have a normal, a healthy stress response, then that should be matched by a parasympathetic rest, digest, and heal state saying, hey, the saber-tooth tiger's gone. Let's
Right.
calm back down, heal, and get back into our normal equilibrium. Well,
Mhm.
our vagus nerve and our parasympathetic nervous system gets way too little exercise throughout the day. We have lost our ability to really actively engage our vagus nerve because of our modern lifestyle and stressors. And there's one cardiologist in Germany that has been tracking heart rate variabilities in children through the decades, and has found that compared to historical controls, like in the late 1900s, 1980s, let's say, our children's heart rate variabilities have decreased. And I would imagine that the very same is true for adults. So
Mm.
now we have less stress tolerance, less stress resilience, and guess what? Less immune system resilience, less microbiome resilience, because many people have this kind of misguided notion that the vagus nerve is all about just meditating and being calm. That is great, right? I
Yeah.
love that. Let's all be
Absolutely.
calm.
For sure.
However, the vagus nerve, from a therapeutic, scientific, medical standpoint, is involved in resolving our inflammatory cascade, keeping our immune system healthy, keeping our gut brain connection healthy. And so, we want to make sure that we're putting vagus nerve work, vagus nerve exercise as what up there and even higher, I will say, as your medications, your supplements, whatever it is really a true prescription for health. And
Right.
so teaching our kids how to engage their vagus nerve every single day is one of the surest ways to maintain microbiome resilience and also keep them thriving mind, body, spirit for the rest of their life.
Yeah. I am blown away right now that heart rate variability has that much of an effect on our microbiome.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not know that. So thank you for sharing that. So can you just really quickly explain what heart rate variability means? Because I know this is a term that can be a little confusing.
Yes.
Just really quickly. And then I want to jump into this idea of your term microbiome magic and
Yeah.
creating that every day for this whole gut resilience that we're talking about. But
Yeah.
what is heart rate variability exactly?
Yeah. So heart rate variability, or you'll see it also as HRV in the studies, or even in, the vagus nerve is having quite a day, but I want to really
It
get
is.
down to the science of it
Sure.
because, it's like I said, we don't want to just think of it as believe that mind body medicine must be elevated to, as significant a medicine as any other
Yes.
modality. However, for many, unfortunately, still when we talk about the vagus nerve,
Yep.
and mind body medicine, it becomes oh, when I have time for it. Oh,
Right.
that would be nice to do, but I
Right.
have all these other more important things to do. So we
Mhm.
really need to really lift its importance. But with heart rate variability, it's actually very simple concept. It is what it sounds like. It's the
Mhm.
variability of your heart rate when you breathe in and when you breathe out. And so one thing that I do when I'm listening to a child's heart rate, a heartbeat, and I'm asking them to breathe in and out, I'm listening for heart rate variability. I mean, a very
Mhm.
crude way, right? Because we
Yeah.
have tools like the Aura Ring or our Apple Watches that can measure more accurately. The other thing you can do, and I have parents do this in the office and kids, find your pulse, whether it's on your neck or on your inner wrist. My son was just asking me how to find pulses this morning. And I showed him all the different places we can feel pulses.
Mhm.
But, you feel your pulse and you're just sitting there. And maybe your pulse is, you kind of see how fast it is. And then you take a slow breath in. And then you exhale. When you have optimal heart rate variability, your heart rate should speed up when you inhale and it should slow down when you exhale. When we're in sympathetic fight or flight, it's just boom, 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 fast and steady because we better be ready to
Right.
go.
Right.
And so we want that. And so
Right.
periodically throughout the day, you can just check, okay, am I in this kind of fight or flight? Is my heart rate kind of fast and steady? And no matter how I breathe, it's not changing? Or
Right.
is it really able to slow down when I exhale?
Yeah. Yeah. And so the variability is really that the more that you have a variable heart rate that can change with your inhale and exhale, the better your heart rate variability. That's a positive response, right?
Positive. We want
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
the next question I get asked is, well, is there, because some people have Aura rings or Apple
Yes.
Watches, is there a number that's ideal? And so it's not a contest, right?
Right.
We want to, it's what's ideal is what's ideal for you. And
Hmm.
so that's why tracking it over time, because we all should have heart rate variability. Kids should have higher, but just because, your heart rate variability may be, 40 and your partner's is 90, there's not one that's better than the other.
Right.
It's really what's right for you. And so
Hmm.
there's no comparing here.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of and just to be clear, there's a lot of different ways you can measure. You said the Aura Ring, the Apple Watch. There are a lot of apps where you can get a little device that that will track that,
Yes.
and it'll actually show you on the app your inhale and exhale, sort of like, and it allows you to sort of breathe into a circle.
Oh, that's
Um,
heart math. I love
yes,
heart math,
heart
guys.
math. Yes.
Yeah, that's you put an ear clip on and it doesn't tell you the number, but what it measures is your heart rate variability, essentially. They call it coherence. We
Yes.
know, guys, we all have had this experience of being in a state of coherence, that flow state where you're in the
Mm.
zone, you are just so with it. And that state, when we can engage our breath, because diaphragmatic breathing is one of the best ways to engage our vagus nerve, and you see this rainbow flower going out,
Yes.
and then you inhale and exhale slowly, and it'll
Right.
show you a green, red, or blue light to
Hmm.
show, are you in coherence or do you need to slow it down even more? I
Yeah.
love it. Kids
Yeah.
love heart
Yeah.
math. It's such a
Heart math.
great tool.
Yeah, I used heart math a lot with my kids when they were teens to help them
Yeah.
visualize and understand, like, what's mom talking about, all this breathing and this meditation. Being an Ayurvedic practitioner, right? They're like, oh my gosh, there she goes again. But I wanted to show them the sort of the science and sort of have a visual. Are there any specific tools for heart rate variability that you really love to use with kids? I mean, heart math is one of my favorites, but any other ones that you would suggest to
No,
parents?
I mean, so here's the thing for children, because there are several kind of vagus nerve devices now on the market, which I'm fascinated by,
Mhm.
and I have a lot of them. But when you call the companies, they most of them won't say that they are appropriate for children, simply because they haven't tested them on
Sure.
children. And I have used, ear stimulators to improve heart rate variability in children in my practice, but there's no company that will blanketly say you can use this, except for the Apollo Neuro device, the wearable that uses vibrations and sound to
Mhm.
stimulate your vagus nerve in different ways. And that one can be used in children. So that would be one that, for parents
Okay.
who are trying to look into a more passive way.
Sure.
The passive is great because sometimes you just need to get out of that fight or flight with some help.
Sure.
But then we also need to learn with heart math how we can do it our own, with our
Right.
with our own breath.